grade 12 learners, welcome to today's business studies lesson. My name is Tsidiso Tlhaka, and this lesson is brought to you by the Northern Cape Department of Education in collaboration with Pagama Research and Development. Today we look into paper 1 revision with the focus on the main topic we call the business operations, and we look into exam revision for the business operations, where our focus will be on two subtopics: human resource function and quality of performance. Now, learning outcomes. By the end of this unit, you should be able to know the structure of the paper together with the main topics and interpretation of section B and section C with the focus on business operations and human resource and quality of performance. Then let's start with the structure of the paper. Section A, section B, and section C. That's how the question paper is structured. Section A is your compulsory short question, meaning everyone should answer the compulsory short questions. The mark allocated there is 30, and the time you should spend there is 20 minutes. Then you have the business operations and business environment assessed equally in your section A. You have your multiple choice as your 1.1, you have your choose your correct weight as your 1.2, and you also have your matching items as your 1.3. Each question there is allocated 10 marks, making a total of 30. You should spend nothing more than 20 minutes so that you manage your time properly. Then we have section B. In your section B, obviously our focus will be on business operations, but in your section B, the instruction is choose 2 questions, and if you choose 2, each question is allocated 40-40. Therefore, the total mark for section B is 80, meaning for your distinction, mastering section B helps you to obtain your distinction, because if you get 70 or 75 or 80 out of 80 in your section B, already you have obtained a good mark, and that will help you, and section A will boost you as well. It can push you to a distinction. Then we go to question 4, miscellaneous questions. For 40 marks, we have business environment and business operations there. With question 4, just know that both business environment and business operations are assessed, and they are given 20 marks, and the total becomes 40. So if you are choosing question 3 and 4, you should know that you should prepare business environment whether you like it or not. And this guideline actually says to you, you should be ready to answer business environment subtopics, and you should be ready to answer business operations subtopics. Now let's go to an essay. With an essay here, we have an essay type question, and you are expected to choose 1 question. You have question 5 and question 6. So with question 5 and question 6, we say 40 marks is allocated for each essay question, and the instruction is clear: choose 1 question in your section C. The mark allocated is 40, the time you should spend is 30 minutes. Now let us look into question 5 and let us look into question 6. Now, the essay for business operation will be assessed under question 6, so keep that in mind. But the essay for business environment will be in question 5, and you may not write both the questions. You need to choose only 1. Now let us look into the main topics again so that you become aware. You have business environments and you have business operations. Our revision is focused on what? The business operations. And these are the subtopics for your business environment: the impact of recent legislation, the business strategies, the business sectors, and the environment. Under business operations, you only have 2: human resource function and quality of performance. Now, let us look into paper 1 typical essays on question 6, because the focus of our lesson is business operations. So the essay can either be human resource or quality of performance. Prepare them equally, give them 100%. You will smile definitely in an essay. Now, this is a typical essay question. It can be an essay on human resource or an essay on quality of performance. Let's start with the one on human resources. Supreme Enterprise has opened a new manufacturing department. Deidre, the human resource manager, followed the recruitment procedure before advertising the vacancy. Successful candidates were inducted. Attractive fringe benefits were offered. Supreme Enterprise also did what? Implemented the salary determination method to pay the successful candidate. Write an essay on the following human resource activities in which you include the following aspects. You outline the aspects that must be included in an induction program. You explain the recruitment procedure that Supreme Enterprise has to follow. You discuss the two salary determination methods, and you advise Supreme Enterprise on the impact of fringe benefits. What does this mean? Your essay should have what? An introduction, your first subheading, second, third, fourth, and it should also have a conclusion. So this is just a typical essay. Anything under human resources can be an essay, so prepare everything. Then we look into another one on quality of performance. Remember, you have the preamble, and you do not quote any information in the preamble, grade 12s. Please do not quote, do not use any information in the preamble as an introduction. Please, grade 12s. So now, write an essay on quality of performance in which you include the following aspects. You elaborate on the meaning of quality. You distinguish between quality control and quality assurance. You explain how the business can follow, how the following business functions can contribute to the success or quality of performance of the financial function and production function. And also you advise businesses on the benefits of a good quality management system for 40 marks. The same structure should be followed: introduction, then 4 subheadings, then conclusion. Then let us look into subtopics for question 3, and you only have 2: human resource function and quality of performance. These subtopics also apply in an essay question. You prepare both, you are successful in the exam. Now let us look into typical questions on question 3. Let's look into the first subtopic, human resource. Human resource function has human resource activities. These are the activities that the human resource manager or the function has to deal with. We have the first one, which is recruitment. Then we have selection. Then we also have induction together with placement. Then we have salary determination together with fringe benefits. Then there is legislation that the human resource function has to know in order to make sure that they comply with the law on how to deal with employees regarding the law. Then this is the activities in terms of the question type you may get and the subtopics that are there for each human resource activity. The examiner may ask you the recruitment procedure, and it may come in a form of a scenario where you are expected to quote and explain other steps of the procedure. Another one could be identifying the recruitment methods, either internal or external. Or when we look into the question, they might say, name the sources of internal or external, which might be your 3.1. It might also mean identify these sources or recruitment methods from the scenario, identify them, either internal or external, thereafter explain their impact. Then you also have components of job analysis, which can either be job description or job specification. You might be expected to identify them from the scenario or differentiate between job description and job specification. Then we go to selection. With selection, this might be required of you to explain, number 1, the selection procedure. You should need to know. And remember, here you have 2 options. You have option A or option 1 and option 2. Then we proceed and say, you also can get a question that says screening as part of selection. You need to know how to explain screening as part of selection. Then you might get a question on the interview where you are expected to know the purpose of the interview. You are expected to know the role of the interviewer and the role of the interviewee. Remember, the role of the interviewer would have a role before and would have a role during the interview. But when you look into the interviewee would have a role during the interview. And then the question may come in a form of a scenario where you are expected to quote from the scenario, and you need to be able to explain the roles of both the interviewer and interviewee. Remember, the interviewer has two roles. As I said, the interviewer has a role before and the interviewer has a role during. But with the interviewee only has a role during the interview. Then we proceed and look into selection, or proceed with selection. With selection, you still have the employment contract. You should know the following: be in a position to name contents of the employment contract, which might be your 3.2, and then also be in a position to explain the legal requirements of an employment contract. Then termination of employment, you need to be in a position to explain termination of the employment contract. And again, the examiner may ask you to what? To quote the termination of employment contract from a scenario. Then we go to induction. With induction, you should know the purpose of induction, aspects that can be included in an induction program, and the benefits of induction. The examiner may create a scenario and expect of you to quote the purpose or the aspects or the benefits of induction. You should also be in a position to explain the purpose, the aspects, and the benefits of induction. Then placement. Be in a position to explain the placement procedure and identify from the multiple choice. Your keyword will be the term match. What are you matching here? The skills of the employee with the requirements of the position. Then importance of skills development. This is one aspect that you might ignore, but you should not. Hence, I would say, with the importance of skills development, be in a position to quote it from the scenario and be in a position to explain the importance of skills development when responding directly. Then salary determination. You should be in a position to start by being in a position to identify the salary determination, which can either be piecemeal or time related. Be in a position to identify from the scenario and be in a position to differentiate between piecemeal and time related. And also, sometimes the examiner may ask it as part of 3.1, whereby you are expected to name from the scenario. Then the link between salary determination and the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. Be in a position to quote from the scenario and be in a position to explain the link between salary determination methods and the basic conditions, because that can come as a direct question, or it can come as a question that says explain other after you have quoted. Then with the importance of skills development, we dealt with that. Then we look into fringe benefits. Firstly, the examiner can also say name the fringe benefits. Keep that in mind. You might be expected to name the examples of fringe benefits, and do not make a mistake of writing UIF. UIF is not a fringe benefit, so it should not appear should they ask you to name the fringe benefits. Then you should know the impact of fringe benefits, wherein we are saying analyze them, explain them, or discuss them, and you are allowed to provide both positives and negatives. Then fringe benefits that are required by law, be in a position to explain or outline them. This is your what? Unemployment insurance fund. Then regarding the 4 legislations that implicate the human resource manager, you have your labor relations, you have your skills development act, you have your employment equity act, and the basic conditions. Be in a position to explain or recommend them, explain or recommend all of them. This might look like a direct question. Then let us start now with the actual questions. I have this question for you, and I'm expecting of you to answer and give me the solutions. Let me give you 5 minutes. I'll come back with the solution. Welcome back. The instruction is read the scenario below and answer questions that follow. Identify here the type of recruitment method that TCC has used to advertise their vacancy. Let's go through the scenario. Togoza Keshen Kiri is looking for a supervisor to manage workers. The vacancy was advertised in a local newspaper. This is key information for us. The human resource manager had to prepare the selection procedure. Identify the type of recruitment method that TCC has used to advertise the vacancy. Quote from the scenario above to support your answer for 3 marks. Now, local newspaper. Who's going to see the local newspaper is the community. The what? Community. Therefore, the method that allows the community to see that newspaper is called what? External recruitment. It's called what? External recruitment. Thereafter, you motivate. What do you use to motivate the scenario again? The vacancy was advertised in the local newspaper because the local newspaper allows external members of the community, anyone who's outside the business, to see the advert to say Thokoza Cash and Care is looking for a member who can manage, or a supervisor who can manage the workers. Then discuss the impact of the recruitment method. There you are expected to discuss the method of recruitment, but what are you discussing? You are discussing the advantages and disadvantages. Thereafter, explain the correct selection procedure for the management of TCC, then suggest the role of the interviewer and interviewee during the interview. Now, the answer, as I said, is external recruitment, correct, 1 mark for motivation. Then let's look into the impact. What are the positives there? New candidates bring new talents or ideas into the business. There is a larger pool of candidates to choose from. Then what are the negatives? Information on the CVs or references may not be reliable. Then new candidates generally take longer to adjust to the new work environment. Then the correct selection procedure. I've used the shortest version, which is option 2. Number 1, this is the correct selection procedure. After the candidates have done what? Seen the advert, they will apply. So the business, in their selection procedure, they start by receiving what? Documentation. Example, this can be the application form and sort it according to the criteria of the job. Then they evaluate CVs and create a short list. Then another one, they check information on the CVs and contact references. Then another one is they conduct preliminary sifting interviews to identify applicants who are not suitable for the job, although they meet the requirements. Then we move to the role of the interviewer and interviewee during. This is the role of the interviewer and interviewee during the interview. The role of the interviewer is to allocate the same amount of time. Number 2 is to introduce the interviewing panel to each candidate or the interviewee. Number 3 is to make the interviewee feel at ease. And then number 4 is to explain the purpose of the interview to the panel and the interviewee. Number 5 is do not mislead or misinform the interviewee. That is the role of the interviewer, who is representing the business, who is trying to select the best candidate. But we look into the role of the interviewee. Who is the interviewee? Is the person looking for the job. What is their role in the interview? Number 1 is to greet the interviewer by name with a solid what? Handshake and a friendly smile. Number 2 is to listen carefully to the question before they can respond. Number 4 is to what? Respond, make eye contact, and do what? Have a good body posture or body language. Then number 4, show confidence and have a positive attitude. And then another one is to ask for clarity, seeking questions. Then we move toward now another typical exam question where we look into the scenario again. Now it's on induction. Now the scenario is on induction. We have Tateo's induction program. Tateo has developed an induction program for newly appointed employees. They usually take on a tour of the premises, and they also do what? They are introduced to senior management and colleagues. Quote 2 aspects from the scenario that Tateo included in his induction. Now, they are very clear. Tateo has what? Has taken employees on a tour of the premises and also have introduced them to senior management or colleagues. Then explain any other 3 aspects that should be included in an induction program. Thereafter, advise Tateo on the benefits of induction program for 8 marks. Now, let us look into it. The two aspects, they're usually taken on a tour of the premises. Another one is they're introduced to senior management. You quote it in full up to the full stop. Then we move, then explain other aspects, which can be safety regulations and rules, which can be the overview of the business, which can also be information about the business or products or services offered, then discussion of the employment contract and the conditions of service, together with discussions of employee benefits. Then we move to what now? We move to advising Tateo on the benefits of induction, which could be number one, if an employee is inducted properly. What are we talking about with induction? Induction is when you're introducing a new employee who has been selected based on the interview. They were successful. So that new employee, as they get into the working environment, they cannot start by working. They need to be introduced. So if they were properly introduced to the working environment, given a tour, given training, they know the information about the product or service that is being offered, then these are the benefits the business is going to get. Number one, they're going to increase quality of performance or productivity. That's one. Number two, they will allow the new employee to settle in and work effectively because they know where to get resources for them to perform. It ensures that the new employee understands the rules and restrictions. And then another one is that new employees may establish relationships with fellow employees at different levels. Then employees will be familiar with the organizational structure, for example, who are their supervisors or low-level managers. Then we look into another scenario. Here we have Impala Construction, IC. Impala Construction advertises a vacancy for a production manager. The successful applicant will receive a remuneration package, including medical aid, pension fund, and a housing allowance. The management of Impala Construction invited shortlisted candidates to attend the interview. Now, name 3 examples of fringe benefits offered by IC in the scenario above. Discuss the impact of fringe benefits to IC as a business. Then explain 2 salary determination methods that the business could apply to remunerate their employees. Then recommend the legal requirements of the employment contract. Now let's look into it. So here they are saying name 3 examples of fringe benefits. When we were going through the scenario, we realized that the applicants will receive remuneration package, which includes what? Number 1, medical aid. Number 2, pension fund, and the housing allowance. Now, those are considered to be fringe benefits. The question is saying name, and you are naming something that is on the scenario. So this is considered to be 3 marks. So let's check if you would get it right. Yes, very clear, because you have medical aid, you have pension fund, and housing allowance. Where did we take them? Medical aid, medical aid. Pension fund, pension fund. Housing allowance, housing allowance. Then we move and go to what? Discussing the impact of fringe benefits. What are the positives? If employees are given benefits such as medical aid, pension fund, and housing allowance, it improves productivity, resulting in higher profitability. Then another one, attractive fringe benefits packages may result in higher employee retention and will reduce employees' turnover. And it increases employees' loyalty as they will be going an extra mile. Then another one is the business saves money as benefits are tax deductible. Then another aspect is the negatives. Now, what are the negatives? Businesses that cannot offer these fringe benefits fail to attract skilled workers. Then it may create conflict or lead to corruption if allocated unfairly. Then fringe benefits are an additional cost that may result to cash flow problems. Then we proceed and look into the 2 salary determination method. Piecemeal. Here we are saying 2 marks for just writing piecemeal, and when you explain you get 1 mark. And we say piecemeal refers to what? Workers that are paid according to the number of items or units produced. Then workers here are not remunerated for the number of hours worked. They are not remunerated for the number of hours worked, regardless of how long it takes to make the item. Then time related, we give it 2 marks, and when you give that explanation, we give you 1 and say, now time related, explain to us. It says workers are paid for the amount of time they spend at work or on a task. So here a worker is paid on the number of hours they spend at work. Then workers with the same experience or qualifications will be paid on a salary scale regardless of the amount of work they have done. Then let's move to another aspect, which is now the legal requirements of an employment contract. What makes a contract to be legal? For a contract to be legal, 1, the employer and the employee must both sign. We'll see 2 signatures. That's number 1. The employer and employee must agree to changes in the contract. Another one is no party may unilaterally change aspects of the employment contract without informing the other party. Then the remuneration package, including benefits, must be clearly specified in the contract. The paperwork should show the benefits. Then another one, it may not contain any requirements that are in conflict with the basic conditions of Employment Act. Then we proceed and say the employment contract should include the code of conduct or code of ethics of the business, and the aspects of the employment contract can be renegotiated during the employment. Then we say, now let us look into quality of performance. Under quality of performance, you have quality concepts, you have quality control and assurance. You should know the differences between quality control and assurance and be in a position to identify them from the scenario. Quality management and performance, know the differences between the two and also be in a position to identify quality management and performance from the scenario. Then benefits of a good quality management system, be in a position to explain them or discuss them, or also be in a position to quote them from the scenario and explain other benefits that were not on the scenario. Then business functions, you should be able to know how to identify the business functions from the scenario, and also you should be able to explain how they contribute to the success of the business. And you should know that we have 8 business functions. Now, let's start with the first one, where we are looking into the benefits of a good quality management system. We have exclusive clothing enterprise. Zinke is the owner of exclusive clothing enterprise. She was requested to share her ideas on how she maintains the high quality standards of her products. She indicated that her employees are trained on a regular basis, time and resources are used efficiently. Now, quote 2 benefits of a good quality management system from the scenario above for 2 marks, and explain to Zinhle other benefits of a good quality management system. So here we are assessing benefits of a good quality management system using a scenario and a direct question. So now, check, you read the scenario. She was requested to share her ideas on how she maintains high quality standards of her product. What did she say? She indicated that her employees are trained on a regular basis. Okay, we quote that. That is part of benefit of a good quality management system. Another one is that time and resources are used efficiently. That is also correct, because those are the benefits of using what? A good quality management system. Now let's check if those were quoted. Yes. Training, yes. Time and resource were used efficiently. Then explaining other. These are the other benefits now. If a business has a good quality management system, they will have the following benefits. Number 1, they will render effective customer services, resulting in increased customer satisfaction. Productivity will increase through proper time management or the use of high quality resources. Products will be constantly improved, resulting in increased levels of customer satisfaction. And vision, mission, or business goals may be achieved by the business. Be able to know this. These 2 were quoted. When you answer 3.3.2, you cannot use time and resource are used efficiently. You cannot use employees are constantly being trained. Why? Because the question says explain other benefits. beside those that you have already quoted, because with the ones you have quoted, you already received the 2 marks. So you need to explain other. Hence, you can see from the responses here, you don't get time and resource, you don't get employees are constantly being trained. Then, as we proceed, we look into another type of question. Here you have Purple Enterprise. Purple Enterprise is a large retail business that provides a variety of products. They prepare their own accounting records to ensure accurate tax payments, and PE also responds quickly when one of their clients was not happy with a particular service. Now, identify 2 business functions and motivate your answer by quoting from the scenario. And use the table here as a guide to answer this question. Then, explain other ways in which the business functions identified in 2.1.1 can contribute to the quality of performance of PE. Then, explain differences between quality management and performance. Now, let's start and check which 2 functions are responsible. Now, number 1, they say they prepare their own accounting records to ensure accurate tax payments. So this becomes what? Financial. This is what? The financial function. PE responds quickly when one of their clients are not happy with their services. And this is considered to be what? Administration function. This is the role of the administration function, because when an employee or when a customer is not happy, the first person they will talk to is the administrator. Therefore, hence we say the 2 functions is financial and administration. Then 1 and 1. That's 6. Then we move and go to how these functions contribute to the success of the business. Administration will contribute to the success of the business by making sure that there's fast and reliable data capturing and processing of systems, making reliable information available and management and or to management on time. Another one would be the financial. Now, the financial function can contribute to the success or quality of performance by obtaining capital from the most reliable sources. And then another one might be to negotiate better interest rates in order to keep the financial cost down. Then we look into the differences between quality control, quality management, with quality performance. So techniques to be used here. Techniques or tools used to design or improve the quality of performance. But with quality performance, we are saying this is the total performance of each department measured against their specified standard. Quality management, the tool can be used for accountability within each business function. However, quality performance can be achieved if all work together towards the same quality standard. The aim of quality management is when you use the tool and technique and it is used by the entire business, the aim is to achieve what? The aim is to achieve or ensure that good quality or services are consistent, and or it focuses on achieving means of consistency. But with quality of performance, we say quality can also be measured by looking into the physical product, the statistic output or surveys of the goods or service. Then we look into a structure that helps us now to understand total quality management. With total quality management, you should know the meaning of total quality management, and then also look into knowing the 5 total quality management elements. The first one is continuous improvement to processes and systems, followed by continuous skills development, then total client satisfaction, then adequate financing and capacity, then monitoring and evaluation of processes. Then the question type, identify. They might ask you to identify these elements from the scenario or discuss their impact, which are the positives and negatives. Then you also have the following, the PDCA model, which is the plan, do, check, and act as needed. You might need to identify them from the scenario or discuss the impact. We don't discuss the impact here, but explain how to apply them. Then with the importance of quality cycle, you might need to explain and code them from the scenario. With the impact of TQM if poorly implemented, you need to know how to explain and code them from the scenario. With ways in which TQM can reduce the cost of quality, you need to know how to explain and code them from the scenario. Again, a very humble plea to make you pass. Please do not get into the exam not knowing all these aspects. They are forever in the examination. Make sure you study them and master them. Please, please, please. Right. Now, let's look into a typical question on how to answer the total quality management. Right. I'll give you 2 minutes. You start answering. I'll come back with the solutions. Welcome back. Now let us look into this typical question on quality of performance, specifically total quality management. Outline the advantages of continuous skills development as a TQM element on a large business. Straight-dome ladder limited is a scenario you are having from this business. It's a large business that specializes in the manufacturing of quality leather bags. They often upgrade their production process to stay ahead of their competitor. Very key is to underline the idea that they often upgrade. Customers are always requested to provide feedback about their products. Then, identify 2 total quality management elements implemented by Straight-dome Ladder Limited. Motivate your answer by quoting from the scenario above. Then, use the table below as a guide to answer question 3.2.1. Then advise the management of Straight-dome Ladder Limited on the impact of the TQM elements identified in question 3.2.1. Now, 3.1, let's start there. We are going to be looking into outlining the advantages of continuous skills development as a TQM element on a large business. Now, let me start here by explaining this total quality management. The advantages of continuous skills development as a TQM element. We should understand one aspect. We have these 2 businesses. We have a small and a large. A small business has less resources, but a large business has more resources. So between a small and a large business, which business is going to be in a better position to have an advantage when they're doing their continuous skills development? It's a large business, because when we say more resources, we are saying that business has more money. It has more money. We are saying that business has more workers. So it has more equipment. So because it has more workers, it has more money, then they have an advantage in making or doing continuous skills development. It is easy for a large business to create or to do continuous skills development. Why? Because a large business have human resource department dedicated to skills training and development. Why we are saying this is a positive? Because we are saying these are the advantages. The advantages of ongoing training happening, ongoing skills development happening, is that large businesses have human resource department. And when we say human resource department, it goes to the idea that they have more workers. And then another one says human resource experts ensure that training programs are relevant to increase customer satisfaction. So again, it becomes an advantage because they have more workers who can also attribute it to being experts. And when we say there's an expert, it means they have the skill and the know-how. Another one is it tells you to say this is an advantage of a large business. Why is it easy for a large business? What is the advantage of a large business in doing continuous skills development. They are able to do it much easier. They are able to improve the skills of their workers much easier because they have the ability to afford. Because of having more money, they are able to afford specialized or skilled workers. Another one, we can say they are able to hire qualified trainers. How will you hire qualified trainers if you don't have the money, if you don't have the resources? Can a small business with less resources, with less money, be in a position to hire a qualified trainer? They cannot, because a small business has less money, but a large business has more money, has more resources, has more workers to be able to train employees on a regular basis. But it will not happen for a small business. It is easier to do continuous skills development for a large business. They have more money, they afford specialized skills, they have a department dedicated. A tech shop only has the owner running it. It doesn't have departments, so it is difficult for it to do continuous skills development because of that reason. Then the businesses that are applicable to this scenario, the key word I would use is the word upgrade. They are able, Straight on Ladder Limited is a large business. Remember, I said if a business is large, it has what? Let's say it has more money, more workers. Right. So they often upgrade their production process to stay ahead of their competitor. Can they upgrade their production process if they don't have the money? And what will improve their production process? Maybe a new machine. A new machine is needed to upgrade the process. So if you don't have the money to buy the new machine as a small business, can you do it? No. So in this regard, it is easy for a large business. And what is the element there that talks about improving processes and systems? Is an element we call continuous improvement to processes and systems. Then customers are always requested to provide feedback about their product. Which element is that one? Total client satisfaction, because a large business is able to ask their clients using various platforms to get feedback whether customers are satisfied or not. So the two aspects is continuous improvement to processes and systems and total client satisfaction. 1 mark, 1 mark. Now, we proceed. The positives and negatives, the impact. I will go back to that explanation. More resources. A large business, the impact of TQM in this regard for a large. Why is it easy for a large business to continuously improve their processes and systems? This is why. A large business has more resources. I spoke about it. A large business has more resources, meaning it has more money. It has more workers. Workers are a resource. They benefit the business. Why? It says large business has more resources to check on quality of performance in each unit. The workers, because they are many, they are able to check on quality of performance in each unit. Then another one, enough capital. They have enough capital. And when we're talking about capital, we're saying money. They have enough capital available for new equipment. Yes, we see the workers are skilled, everyone is good, they know how to do the work, but the problem is the equipment is old. So what do you need to improve the process? Buy new equipment. So they have enough capital resource available for new equipment required for processes and systems. Then, what are the negatives here? The negatives are large-scale manufacturing can complicate quality control. So we go back here again and say, okay, this is an advantage. We bought a new equipment. The old equipment or machine was producing 100 products per day, but the new machine is now producing 1,000 products per hour. So meaning if we are working 8 hours, we are producing 8,000 products per day. But before we were producing how many per day? We were producing only 100 products per day. So what does that mean? If in an hour We will be producing 1,000. We have improved. We are happy with that. But the negative is that large-scale manufacturing can complicate quality control. Grade 12, what do we mean by quality control? Quality control is the inspection of the final product to ensure that it has met the required standards. The business that is producing 8,000 products per day cannot inspect all the products. So it becomes complicated, which becomes a difficulty or a challenge or a negative impact of a large business. Then they risk changing parts of the business that are actually working well. The production of only 100 products was working well. Why? They were able to inspect. They were able to inspect all the products. All the products. Then we proceed and go to what now? To total client satisfaction. Why is it easy for a large business to make sure that all their clients are totally satisfied? Number one, a large business uses customer service to monitor customer satisfaction or analyze the customer needs. Number two, it can continuously promote a positive company image, because a large business will then allow these customers who are satisfied to talk positively about their business. It may lead to higher customer loyalty, and the business may be able to charge higher prices. But what are the negatives for a large business? A large business is a business that might be selling to a global market, meaning they are selling to different countries. So here, the negative is that employees who seldomly come into contact with customers often do not have a clear idea of what will satisfy the customer. Not all employees are committed to total client satisfaction again. Then, with that being said, we have covered what would be necessary for your paper 1, business operations, the structure of the paper. We looked into main topics, then we looked into interpreting section B and section C questions. And with that being said, we looked into the human resource activities, recruitment, selection, and induction, together with placement, salary determination, and fringe benefits, and the legislation. We further looked into what? Quality concepts, quality control and assurance, together with quality management and performance. Then we looked into the business functions. We have identified them from the scenario, showed you how to identify, and also showed you that you need to know how to what? You need to know how to explain how they contribute to the success. Then we looked into the total quality management of a large business to say, how should you analyze and understand them? Remember, have the idea of large business has more resources, hence it is easier for it to improve continuously, to also continuously do skills development, also to achieve total client satisfaction, also to have adequate financing and capacity, and monitoring and evaluation of processes. And the end of our lesson. Remember, I repeat, tough times never last, but tough people do last. You have been tough throughout the year. Now finish it successfully. And again, we don't stop when we are tired. We stop when we are done. So you will finish when you are done. Push it, achieve the greatest, because you are the best. You only need to push yourself to the limits. And with that being said, thank you for watching. Keep well. Goodbye.